Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletime carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows some turkey and some mistletoe will help to make the seasons bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's bringing lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh, and every mother's child is gonna sigh to see if reindeers really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas to you.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Unity Temple in the Plaza, a place where diversity is praised and peace and harmony the rewards. I've reduced to using notes when I speak because I've realized as I get older, I forget things, and I constantly have to rethink my thinking. A perfect example of this, middle of the night, I hear this chirping sound going off in our condominium, and we trace it down that it's a fire smoke detector, fire detector. Well, I'm not going to do anything about it in the middle of the night, so we close the door to our bedroom and put pillows over our head and just try to live by. Finally, get up, 6 o'clock, let's get this smoke detector fixed. So my wife is on Google and telling me what to do. First thing you do is check the battery. Second thing you do is you reset it. Third thing you do is unplug it, take it down. And so we're trying to do all this stuff. Nothing is working. It continues to chirp. But it's almost like COVID. It'll go away for a while and you think you're safe, and then all of a sudden it'll chirp again, and that is just plain irritating. So finally I said, look, I'm just going to shut the power off, and we'll settle this when I get back in church because I don't have time right now. Shut the power off. We have wonderful, beautiful silence for 2 minutes. And that chirp comes back and have no idea what is going on. So we're standing there underneath it, and all of a sudden it seemed like the chirp is coming from a different place. And we look into the bedroom right next door to the hallway, and it's that smoke detector that is chirping. And the other poor guy, he wasn't doing anything wrong, but he's getting torn apart and disconnected and everything else. So I don't know why I'm telling you this, other than the fact that it is kind of humorous. Anyway, welcome to Unity Temple in the Plaza, the place where diversity is praised. I have a few announcements before we begin the service. Every year we have what we call an angel tree. And on the angel tree, there are all these cards of little boys and girls up to the age of 18 that are from impoverished homes or foster homes or sometimes group homes, and they just don't have the social connections or the family connections to have presents. So if people are led to do so, they can take a card down, or they can pick from the list, go from a 2-year-old girl to a 17-year-old boy, whatever you want. And they usually list about 3 different things that they would like, and they're all modestly priced. So you get to go out and shop and buy the thing, wrap the present, deliver it here. We send it to Hope House, which will then distribute the presents on Christmas Eve day. If you like to do that, you can sign up in the lobby. It's a wonderful treat for the kids, and it also gives us a good feeling. Some people simply don't have time to do all of that, so if you'd like to make a contribution, say yes, buy this person a present, we can certainly take care of that. On December 19th, we have Spirituality and All That Jazz returns for the holiday concert. Millie is going to be present along with Tim Whitmer and Joe Cartwright, many other big jazz stars, and they'll be playing many of our famous Christmas tunes with kind of a jazzy touch to them. If you'd like to buy tickets, you can buy them afterwards in the lobby. You can go to our website, unitytemple.com, or you can go to Eventbrite, and they'll be listed there. The first Sunday of each month, we have Helping Hands, and what we do is we take backpacks, we fill them up with all sorts of different things. This month, they're filled up with things that lend themselves to the cold weather. There's socks and scarves and hats, and we ask each of you, if you'd like, take a bag, and as you go by your favorite street person, just give it to them so they can have some sustainable things like food and stuff to keep them warm, and other items that are good for their health. Lastly, this is the second Sunday of Advent, and Advent Sunday is represented by peace, and we will honor that in a moment when we go into the peace prayer. So for now, we will have the temple chimes, the opening prayer, and Millie Edwards in the call to inspiration. Please say this with me if you choose. Together. On this day, we dedicate ourselves to peace on earth. We accept ourselves without harsh judgment and express appreciation for our individuality. We live without fear to meet the events of this day with confidence. We accept others without prejudice to experience a sense of unity with all people. We honor our earthly environment and recognize a oneness with all creation. In harmony with ourselves, our lives, other people, and all in nature, we live this day with a peaceful mind, a peaceful heart, and a peaceful spirit. Thank you, God. Amen.
Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart and open up both your eyes. We can all without ever wondering why. It's in every one of us, by and by. It's in every one of us. Just remember, it's like I've been sleeping for years. I'm not awake as I can be, but I'm seeing better. I can see through the tears. I've been realizing that I bought this ticket and watching only half of the show. There are scenery and lights and a cast of thousands who all know what I know. And it's good that it's so. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart and open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever wondering why. It's in every one of us, by and by.
Wow. That has got to be the best rendition of that song I've ever heard. I've heard it quite a few times. Does anybody else agree? That was just ridiculous. Sometimes you just have to say something was so good it was ridiculous. All right, well, if you want to bring up my welcome slide, there's something you might notice about me that's changed. Duke noticed that my hair is getting bigger. And it might be because my ego is getting bigger. I don't know. It's one of those two things. It's actually because keeping my hair groomed is a losing battle. I've got the type of hair that just wants to do this, so I'm just letting it do that. I've accepted that. And I was actually a part of an event where there was a Sikh gentleman from the Sikh religion up on stage, and the Sikhs let their hair grow and they wrap it in their cloth on their head. And someone asked, "Why in your faith do you let your hair grow?" And he said, "Well, every morning you go to shave your beard and you're fighting a losing battle. What does that say about your life?" He says, "Every morning I'm winning this battle. I just let it grow." He's like, "Every morning you start your day by giving in to a losing battle." So that's just a food for thought. I don't know if it means anything to anyone, but there you have it. All right. So here's a really interesting question that has come to my consciousness lately. And I've been traveling a lot recently, visiting Unity churches around the United States. If you don't know, I am the executive director of Unity Worldwide Ministries, and my position supports ministries like this and the leaders in those ministries. So we are at Unity Village, and we work to create products and services and ideas and plans that help our Unity ministries thrive. That is why Unity Worldwide Ministries exists. So why am I here is a question, if you want to bring up that next slide. It's not for me to ponder. I think it's for each and every one of us to ponder, and not in such a big sense of why are we here in existence or why are we here on this planet, but why are we as individuals here in Unity, or why are we as individuals here in this particular ministry? Is there anyone who would be willing to raise their hand and share with me why they are here today? Anyone? Yeah. She came to hear me. Okay. That's flattering. Do you have your hand up over here? Someone? Anyone? Yes. Came last week and loved it. All right. So you might say they're back for some more. Back some more of what you got. Well, when we look at what really tends to bring people to a Unity ministry, one is a difficulty has arisen in their life. They might have experienced a loss, or they're feeling depressed, or they're looking for hope. Whatever it is, they're having a difficulty in their life, and so they're seeking. And most everyone who finds a Unity ministry is in the process of seeking. They're either seeking to find hope, seeking to heal the pain or the hurt, seeking to find insight or inspiration. Whatever it is, most of us, I think, when we find a Unity ministry, it's because we are seeking. Would everyone feel like that might be part of the reason you came here? Your particular reason for what you were seeking for might be different, but it seems like most of us came to Unity Ministry because we were seeking, and that might be consciously or even unconsciously. We may not even known we were seeking, but we came upon a person who talked about Unity, or we came upon a building or a flyer or a magazine or something that talked about Unity at the right time that ignited something in us that said, this is where you need to go. Seek and ye shall find. So many of us came to Unity that way, but then what I sit and ponder is, why are we still here? We've come back for more. Obviously, that's a great reason why we're still here, but why are we still coming? What is in it for us? What are we getting out of it? What's driving us forward? What's the plan here? What are we doing? I had a young gentleman when I was ministering at Unity of Boulder, in Boulder, Colorado, and he was very excited about what we had going on at that ministry. And he'd come up to me several times. He said, I want to get involved. I want to do as much as I can to help what we have going on. He wanted to be part of this. So we were getting him involved in our social media process. We were having some meetings with him about how we could maybe engage more people in the 20 to 30-year-old range. He was helping us with our advertising and our banners and our signage, talking about what he saw as he came in, giving us that fresh perspective. He was really engaged, really ignited, really fired up for about probably 2 months. Then all of a sudden, I'm in the fellowship area after service, and I got a little plate of food, and he comes up to me, and he looks sort of distraught. And he simply says to me, Shad, what am I doing here? And it was a pretty broad question. I said, well, I assume you're coming to get some food in the fellowship hall. I'm not exactly sure what you're doing here. And he's like, no, I mean, what am I doing here at Unity of Boulder? I said, well, you're learning, you're helping us. He's like, no, where am I going? What am I trying to get to? What's the plan here? And I sat and thought for a while, and I started to realize what he was saying. And he said, when I showed up, I assumed someone was going to step me into a process. Someone's going to let me know where we're going. and how I get there. They're going to point to an end goal, or at least a goal line to shoot for, and they're going to say, here's where we're trying to go, and here's how we're going to help you get there. And he said, I have not seen that here. He said, I assumed week after week someone was going to approach me, and they're going to give me this plan, and they're going to let me know how we did that. And he's like, I know you offer classes and seminars and different things, but no one's showing me the process of how to get where I'm going. So let's get to that next slide. Where am I going? I'm here, but where am I going? What am I trying to get to? Well, that's a fascinating question. And I think that might be why Unity has struggled over the years. I think there might have been a thought that we assumed you would bring that with you, that you would have a plan of where you're going, or you'd have an idea in mind of where you wanted to get to. And there might have been a disconnect, and I'm not talking about this ministry, I'll speak for myself and my ministry, because I don't want to speak for any other ministries or any other ministers or leaders. In my ministries, I realized I had an assumption that if someone came to Unity, they had a plan in mind. They had an idea of where they were going, where they wanted to get to, what they were trying to achieve when they got there. And I would watch people get very ignited, like this young gentleman did, and get fired up and want to help, and then I would see them vanish. And he's one of the few people that actually came to me to address that question, but I think other people were just sort of fizzling out on their own, and they didn't really have the confidence to come up to leadership and ask that question like he did. Well, he did fizzle out shortly thereafter. I could not engage him enough at that point to really keep him involved in the process, and he wound up moving. But it did keep me thinking, and it made me think about my own journey. Where am I going? What's the end goal here? I think for some of us, community is enough, just to have that community. Then you have different personality types that really want to know what we're trying to accomplish as a community, or what we're trying to accomplish as individuals. Some of us are happy that we've been healed by whatever it is that we came here looking for, or whatever the calling was that brought us here. It answered that call. Then other people are called to something more once they get here. Just the presence of being here is not enough. They're called to something even above and beyond what we're experiencing here, which is a beautiful, powerful communal experience. But for those of us called to something more, what comes next? Where do we take them? And they don't just necessarily want to see it for themselves as maybe a selfish means, but they really want to see where's the community going? What are we trying to accomplish? What are we going to affect? How are we going to change the world? And when they have that fire within them, if we don't point to where we're going, that fire might either dwindle, or that fire might have a desire to go somewhere that is pointing them to a place they're going to go. So let's go to our next slide. In any spiritual journey, we're trying to obtain growth is a part of the process. Growth within ourselves, growth within our consciousness, growth within the community as well, the community at large. Now, our founders, the Fillmores, set a very high bar for spiritual growth. And they talked about it at length, and they talked about it often. Where are we going? What are we trying to accomplish? What are we trying to do? And they set this bar very high. They talked about spiritual mastery. They talked about the power to heal the mind or the body, the power to heal our circumstances with our consciousness. They talked about all these amazing things of where they were going. I think they were very clear with their communities that it's great that you're here, it's great that you feel a part, but those of us in this community, we're reaching for this high bar. Now, if you go to the next slide. But what may have happened is that we have this concept of meeting people where they are, which is a very important process in the spiritual path, that a community has to meet people where they are, that they don't, as soon as a new person come in, say, hey, yeah, you're supposed to be more spiritual than you are. What are you doing? What's the problem with you? You should be hitting these high spiritual attainment. You should be meditating 4 hours a day, and you're only doing 5 minutes. What's wrong with you? No, we got to meet people where they are, wherever they've come into this community, whatever they're seeking, whatever they're searching for, we have to meet them right there. Otherwise, it's irrelevant to them when they show up. So we meet people where they are, and that's sort of dropping the bar down to where a person is so they feel like they have something to accomplish. They can meet that immediate short-term goal that they're seeking, and it might just be healing a direct relationship problem they're having in their life at that particular time, or a physical ailment, or a sense of loneliness, or a loss of hope. We meet them where they are. We heal them where they are. But do we remember in that process to push the bar back up and let them know where they can get to? Are you following me? If we meet someone where they are and then we forget to remind them of where we're all going, then it's sort of, well, I met that immediate expectation. I feel a little bit more hopeful. I feel a little bit more faith. I feel a little bit more confidence. I think I'm good. And they might leave at that point. They've got what they're looking for, and they might leave at that point. If we don't remember to push that bar back up for them and say, now that we've healed this short-term immediate need, there is something really grand and awesome all of us are working towards, and we'd like you to join us on this journey, and here's the path to get there. Am I making any sense? Are you following along kind of where I'm going with this? 8 of you are. Okay, good. Could you turn to the person next to you and explain what's going on here? That'll really help us move along. There is a spiritual journey here. Unity is not just an organization to make us all feel a little bit better. The Fillmores were pretty outspoken about what we are trying to accomplish, pretty outspoken about what's possible in the human experience. Sometimes people ask, why is unity associated with Christianity in any way? If you read our original foundational teachings of the Fillmores, they'll talk a lot about Jesus Christ, they'll talk about the early church, they'll talk about Christianity. And sometimes people ask, well, why are we even affiliated with Christianity at all, or using the Christian language or those words? There's a section in the book of Charles Fillmore, as I just read, and he actually is quoted in saying, students often ask us, why are we still affiliated with Jesus Christ and the message and the teachings of the Bible? And in essence, he says, because this figure is one of the most powerful examples of what we can accomplish in this lifetime. Really taking it out of the fantastical idea of this fictional character that was in the past that did these things that we couldn't really do, but they really believed that everything that Christ accomplished in that lifetime, we also had the power and the ability to do in this lifetime. And that's why they still held on to that, and that's why they had that attachment, and that's why they brought it into the unity teachings. It was a part of the unity teachings, because this really was a role model for us to follow. Not a go-between in between us and God, but our brother figure to say, this is what you can accomplish in a lifetime. These are the miraculous things you can accomplish in a lifetime, right here and right now. Not this fictional possibility in the past, but something very real and present in this lifetime, right here, right now. So let's go to the next slide here. This is sort of our perception of the spiritual journey. We see ourselves in one spot, and that maybe this concept of enlightenment or self-realization or self-actualization, or whatever you want to call it, oneness, that's out there somewhere. And some people travel this journey all the way to this spot, and some of them get there, very, very few. So most of us see this very long journey, and we go, I don't know, that's pretty long. I'm not sure I want to get on that. If you go to the next slide, it's actually more realistic of what we see the journey as, is this twists and turns of brambles and falling down and getting up again. And maybe somewhere along that journey of going up and down, we go, I don't know if it's really worth it. It's so far out there. We think of Buddha and Krishna and Christ and Lao Tzu and these other figures that really attain this level of consciousness, and we go, man, that's so far out there. I don't know if that's really worth the effort. I mean, look at this process I've got to go through here. And the point being that we've put it out there somewhere. We've put it at the end of this journey. We call it a spiritual path, and the path brings this idea that, well, it's at the end of this thing out there. The road to enlightenment. Again, way, way down there somewhere. But in the reality of it, let's look at this next slide. It's really actually parallel to us. If you think about it as a two-lane road, we can stand in the lane of struggle, or we can stand in the lane of bliss. It's not that it's out there in some distant way so far off that we're going to work to get there, and eventually when we get there, we will have arrived. But that it's traveling alongside us at every moment in time, and every single choice we make is either a choice to be in bliss or a choice to be in struggle, or to head further into struggle and further away from bliss, or the opposite, to head closer to bliss and away from struggle, closer to love and peace and joy and light. Every decision we make, there's a parallel option. We talk about parallel universe. This is not a parallel universe. This is this life right now, right here. And every choice we make is to step in and out of these lanes, depending on that choice. We can have bliss and peace and joy and light and love right here in this moment. We can have the experience that Christ was having in this moment if we really choose to do that. But the crazy thing to try to wrap your head around is that over and over and over again, day after day, moment by moment, we choose struggle over bliss. And we've done it so many times that our world looks the way it is today. By and large, most of us, especially in our leadership, have chosen struggle over bliss. Weighed all the options on the table and said, yeah, we could go in the direction of bliss, but I think we'll go with struggle again. That seems to really played out well the last 5,000 times we've made that choice. So that's why it's so baffling to look back on our history and you go, we've done this before. And yet we're choosing to do it the difficult way again. And you can look back and back and back and back and back, and you see over and over and over again our society has faced relatively the same things and basically made the same choice to struggle through it. And we all go, why are we still struggling? Well, it's because as individuals and as a collective, we still make those micro decisions for struggle over bliss. And when you add all those micro decisions together, we wind up in a world that basically chooses struggle over bliss. And we go, well, I don't know, little old me, I'm doing the best I can, I'm making good choices, and we do make good choices. We make a lot of good choices. We also make some not so good choices. If you think about every choice we make is a vote for the type of world we want to live in. It really changes how you see the collective consciousness, the collective experience, the communal experience we're having as a society. If we thought every single little choice we made, we were putting a vote into a box for the type of world we wanted to be in. Every thought that we came up and we go, I don't like that person's shoes. I don't like the way they look. I never liked them anyway. They're broken. Every time they show up, they ruin this experience. I'm not a part of that. I'm not a part of that group. They're different from me. They're wrong. I'm right. What they do is dangerous. I'm protecting people. They're hurting people. I need to distance myself from them because they always think that way. They do those things. We have this narrative running in our consciousness so often throughout our day. And every one of those thoughts is a vote into the collective consciousness of the type of world we want to live in. So we are in unity because in unity we learn how to address that. We're here to grow. I was talking to someone recently in a sister organization of ours, Center for Spiritual Living. And we talked about what if we had had a system in place decades ago, when our founders Holmes and the Fillmores were really getting things going, if we had a system in place that really legitimately got us all to practice these principles to the fullest extent starting back then, where would the world be today? And both of us kind of sat there and just thought, wow, if every single person that had been touched by Unity and Centers for Spiritual Living had been a part of a system that legitimately got us to engage 100% in living these principles, where would the world be 100 years later, which is today? The person I was speaking with said, we'd be enlightened, the entire planet. Because there would be thousands of people would have reaching thousands of people around them, affecting their consciousness, bringing them into this fold, and we would have just been elevating, we would have been enlightened as a planet. I don't know, that's a gamble. I don't know if that's factually true, but it's at least a concept to think about. So we start to become aware of our consciousness. When you start your spiritual practice, you start meditation, we talk about being the observer of our thoughts. Starting to separate ourselves from those thoughts and becoming the observer of those thoughts and recognizing those aren't necessarily ours. They're just a program that's running in our head, constantly voting for more struggle in our lives and the lives around us. But if we become the observer of those thoughts, we can start to distance ourselves from their thoughts. Hey, there's that spot. And then we can start doing something about those thoughts. So we'll go to the next slide. It's not that enlightenment or bliss is really far away. It's sitting within us every single moment of every single day. And I think that sounds sort of rudimentary to most of us, but if you start to analyze your thinking, you start to analyze your spiritual path and your spiritual process, you're probably going to recognize that you've put this concept of bliss at some distance from you. And we say things like, yeah, it's within, it's a journey within, the Christ within, the essence of God within, the spark within. But our mind thinks within means way out there. It's way far away from me. It's not a parallel lane that I can step into at any time. It's this thing way at the end of this life, or maybe even several lifetimes that I'm trying to get to. That's what the processing mind does. That's what the programming does. If you start to become aware of it, and I will speak for myself, I've become aware of it. But I still put it as something out there that's way far away. And I have to remind myself, it's just right here. It's just the next choice. It is literally just the next choice I make. Whether I'm choosing to create bliss for myself and those around me, or I'm choosing to create struggle and conflict. And it's a very subtle thing that happens in our consciousness thousands and thousands of times a day. Most of the time unnoticed to us because we're not stepping back as the observer to see what's going on there. So we build these barriers between these lanes. We pick a side. If we're on the side of struggle, we actually start to put bricks up between us and bliss. We've got the programming from the media and our friends, the society, with negativity and fear saying, be afraid of that, do this, buy that, get that, you have to have more, get more, take more, to be more. And all those things are building these bricks in between us and bliss that we're eventually going to have to break down to get over there. But if we can stop listening to that, stop the programming into our subconscious mind, we can start making more conscious decisions to be in bliss. And less bricks that we're going to have to break down to step into that lane. But it's always right here, right next to us. It's just a matter of whether we are allowing this program that we've been given to keep us from stepping over. If we're willing to tune out to some of that nonsense. So where are we going? Well, I like to read our Fillmores, our founders, just so we get to hear their words, remember what we're doing here. This is from Myrtle Fillmore. This is what she was saying. She said, you ask what restored me to vigorous health. So in this book, her healing letters, she's writing letters to individuals who've written to her, and they collected these letters and they made a book out of them. So this individual obviously is asking her about how she healed herself of tuberculosis. And so this is where we pick up. She says, You ask what restored me to vigorous health. It was a change of mind from the old carnal mind, which is the physically oriented mind, the old carnal mind that believes in sickness, to the Christ mind of life and permanent health. Think about that. Is she making that sound like it's way out there, way someplace down the road? Is simply switching from the old carnal mind that believes in sickness to the Christ mind of life and permanent health. She said, I applied spiritual laws effectively, blessing my body temple until it manifested the innate health of spirit. She's talking about the innate health of spirit. Health was not something far away. It was already within her that she just had to reveal. It was the lane running next to her that she just had to step into and realize existed in the first place. But she had bought into the lane of sickness, and she had stayed in the lane of sickness, and everyone had convinced her that there was only this lane of sickness until she was exposed to the truth that there is an innate health inside of you. The lane of health is right here. You just have to choose to step into that lane and believe it actually exists, or else you're going to remain in the lane of sickness. She said, these wonderful laws will work for you too when you apply them diligently and in faith. Diligently and in faith, because at first it looks like there's only this lane of sickness that she's standing in because she's not feeling well. So the reality is, I'm sick, there's only this lane of sickness. It takes faith to even conceive of the possibility that there is a lane of health right next to it. That there is this innate essence of wholeness already within her that she would just have to step into. It takes faith to believe that's even possible because the entire world is telling you there's only this lane of health. Sickness, there's only a lane of sickness. Stay in your lane of sickness. Deal with your lane of sickness. Health is a fictional concept that doesn't exist for you. That's what the society will tell you. And you would have to have faith, strong faith, to go against all the programming of the world to say, no, I am a child of God. Ergo, I am designed to be whole. That is my innate programming, is to be whole. Health means I've stepped off my path. Illness means I've stepped off my path. Health is the path I'm supposed to be on. It's what I was designed to be on. It's where I was born. So let's listen to Charles Fillmore. This is interesting. He's talking about a book he just read where a woman was saying she could actually see the light emanating from her own body. She had done the spiritual work where she could hold up her hands and she could see the light emanating from her hands. She could see the light emanating from her feet as she grounded into the earth. He was moved by what he read in this book, and this is what he says. This is from the book Atom Smashing Power of Mind. She tells of numerous instances in which she saw hands and feet and other parts of her body lighted or really transformed by the flame invisible. This convincing confession of Miss Morgan, which is her name, prompts me to tell of my development of the radiant body during half a century's experience. It began when I was mentally affirming statements of truth just between my eyes, but above, I felt a thrill that lasted a few moments, then passed away. I found I could repeat this experience with affirmations. As this time went on, I could set up this thrill at other points in my body, and finally it became a continuous current throughout my nervous system. I called it the Spirit, and found that it was connected with a universal life force whose source was the Christ. As taught in the Bible, we have, through wrong thinking and living, lost contact with the parent life. Jesus Christ incarnated in the flesh and thereby introduced us by his word into the original Father life, into the original intention of why we're supposed to be here, which is health, which is to be a light being. Charles goes on to say, he said, if a man keep my word, he shall never taste of death. Charles says, I have believed that and affirmed his words until they have become organized in my body. Sometimes when I make this claim of Christ's life in the body, I am asked if I expect to live always in this flesh. My answer is that I realize that the flesh is being broken down every day and its cells transformed into energy and life. And a new body is being formed of a very superior quality. That new body is Christ and will be my future habitation. I have found that the kingdom of God is within man, and that we are wasting our time and defeating the work of the Spirit if we look for it anywhere else. Ugh. Do you feel that? He's talking about creating a light body in this experience, not waiting until after we die, not waiting for someone outside us to come and bless us and make it happen, but the process of actually transforming this body in consciousness and in physicality into spirit. The very essence of what we're doing. He's saying we're wasting our time and defeating the work of spirit by believing in anything else. We are wasting our time by believing in the programming that we are just sick human beings that need to find a way to be a little less sick than we currently are. We're wasting our time with that, he says. Our innate essence is Christ, is spirit, is light. Anything else is not real, is not the truth. So I want to bring something up that hopefully you're somewhat familiar with. I'm going to bring up the next slide. This is the 5 basic unity principles, and if you're just holding on to when I'm ever going to finish this talk, we're getting close. So just take a breath. We're almost there. Get some oxygen going. The 5 basic unity principles. Number 1, God is the source and creator of all. There is no other enduring power. God is good and present everywhere. Number 2, we are spiritual beings created in God's image. The Spirit of God lives within each person. Therefore, all people are inherently good. All people are inherently good. 3, we create our life experiences through our way of thinking. 4, there is power in affirmative prayer, and I added meditation and spiritual practice, which we believe increases our awareness of God. 5, knowledge of these spiritual principles is not enough. We must live them. Now, I was looking at these, and I agree with all these, and I asked myself, does this tell me where I'm going, though? Does this give me a direction of where am I going? Or are these just sort of 5 things we accept to be possibly true, and that's sort of that, and we put them on the shelf and we're done with it? Or does it tell me where I'm going? And then I realized the journey is just the exact opposite order. This is the spiritual journey in unity, just in the opposite order. Step 1, knowledge of these spiritual principles is not enough. I'm going to have to live them. I'm going to have to accept and commit myself to the fact that I'm going to have to live and exemplify everything I'm about to learn and do. I'm going to have to first have faith in this process and commit myself to doing it. Number 4, there is power in affirmative prayer, meditation, and spiritual practice, which we believe increases our awareness of God. Aha, I've been given a tool now. I've committed myself to this process. I said I'm going to actually do it, not just think about it. Now I've been getting a tool. Affirmative prayer, meditation, spiritual practice. I've got this tool now I'm going to commit myself to. Well, what happens when I start doing that? We create our life experiences through our way of thinking. All of a sudden, I start claiming my own thoughts again. I start creating my own experience I want to have by changing the way I'm thinking, by becoming aware of the thoughts that are thinking that I didn't know I was thinking. I recognize as a third-party observer, and I start to change the direction of my own thinking. Ergo, I'm going to start changing the direction of my life, my experiences, my relationship, my body, everything around me. What's next? We are spiritual beings created in God's image. The Spirit of God lives within each person. Therefore, all people are inherently good. Oh my goodness, I'm starting to have a realization of my connection to the divine, not just within myself, but I'm starting to see it with all the people around me. I'm starting to recognize that all of us are expressions of the divine. I'm starting to recognize that there is only one essence happening here in this experience, and we are all a part of it. I cannot possibly judge you. I cannot possibly hate you. I cannot possibly try to distance from you or shame you because you are me. We are the same expression of this essence. It would make no sense for me to not like you. It would make no sense for me to try to hold you down. It would make no sense for me to hold you back because you are me. I'm starting to step into that realization now, and finally, I realize God is the source and creator of all. There is no other enduring power. God is good and present everywhere, and I have arrived. That is enlightenment. That is the final stage. That is oneness. That is all there is, and now I am bliss. Once I realize that God is all there is, and God is all good. I don't have to learn anything beyond that point. If I truly arrive in that place, God is all there is, and God is only good, I'm there. And that's where we're trying to go in unity. That is the goalpost. That is the path. That is the plan. And that is the truth as I experience it. Thank you. We're going to take a little time for a meditation.
Our thoughts are prayer, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayer. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
Our thoughts are prayers. And so we send forth a prayer now by aligning the spine, closing the eyes, allowing the shoulders to relax, allowing the seat to support our weight, allowing the muscles to let go, allowing the breathing to settle, allowing the thoughts to settle, becoming clear, becoming the observer. We recognize that if a thought comes to mind, it's not ours to stop, ours to judge, or ours to change, because we are simply the observer. We witness it, and we allow it to pass. We recognize that any thoughts that come up do not define us, do not lead us, do not dictate anything about us. It's just a thought, and we allow it to pass. But we are not just the observer. We are also the co-creator. Co-creating with the spirit of life, our own experience and the experience of those around us. So we observe any thoughts that come that we didn't consciously choose. And we allow ourselves to replace them with a thought we do consciously choose. And for this time together, that thought will be, peace, be still. Any thought that comes to mind, we let it rise, we observe, we let it fall. And in its place, we consciously inject the phrase, peace, be still. We allow this to become the mantra of our stillness. The mantra of our lives today for the rest of this week. And we breathe into that truth. Peace, be still. knowing that no matter what is coming at us, what it's trying to tell us or convince us of, if it doesn't align with that truth, we allow it to rise and fall and replace it with peace. Be still. You are my brother, you are my sister, you are my friend. Peace. Be still. You are my body, my supporter, my conduit for expression, creativity, love, and light. Peace. Be still. This is my ministry, my community, my spiritual group, my spiritual family. This is my building. Peace. Be still. This is my city. This is my land. Peace. Be still. I choose this experience. I choose peace. I choose to be still. Stillness allows me to get in touch with my true nature, my true perfection and wholeness, which I hold on to now, which I commit to bringing forth with me as I come out of this time of stillness and I return to the events of my day and my life. I take a deep breath. And upon my exhale, I come back into this time and space, into this room. But I come back now as a little bit more awakened, a little bit more aware, a little bit more whole. So it is. Amen.
Thank you, Millie Edwards. This concludes our service for today. I thank you all for coming. If you care to make a contribution, there are receptacles in the lobby, and we gratefully receive them. Also, if you'd like tickets for the December 19th concert, jazz concert right here, it's from 4 to 5:30. You can get those in the lobby, as well as pick a card for the Angel Trade. So we will close now with a prayer for protection, and together we'll sing the peace song. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.